Hey guys, it's Sam, and today I'm going to talk about some books on my TBR that I'm intimidated by. So I was doing an Instagram live where I was doing my makeup and getting ready to film, and people were asking me questions, and someone asked me about the book I'm most intimidated by, which is pretty easy to answer, but then I was like, I think I've talked about this before, but it's been a couple years probably, and these are books on my current TBR that I'm really intimidated by, like my physical TBR. I have two TBRs. I have like my metaphysical... I have my like in theory TBR that's like everything that I add to my TBR on Goodreads, that I don't own all of those books. Like things that's like, I would like to read that in theory. And then I have my physical TBR that's like the stuff I'm actually prioritizing, and that's the stuff I'm trying to get through this year. So these are the books that are currently like staring me in the face and that I know I'm gonna have to read at some point this year, and I'm nervous about. There's a lot of things in common. The biggest common denominator is they're large, and that's why I started Tome Topple before any of you ask. The next Tome Topple is going to be in April sometime. I don't know exact dates. It's a process, and it's a long readathon, so it takes some coordination, but it's basically always in April, so breathe. But yeah, basically all these books are very large, and then a lot of them are also a genre that I don't read from a ton, so they're large and intimidating because I don't read from them a lot. So let's get into it. The first book is Way of Kings by Brent Sanderson. Now I specifically bought the UK editions. It's broken into two books, although I'm going to count this as one, and I'm going to read it as one, but this way, as I'm reading it, it'll feel like I'm getting through it faster, you know, and it'll feel... I'll be able to kind of congratulate myself a bit, but I'm going to read it as one giant chunk and count it as one book when I read it. But yeah, it's large, and a lot of people have been telling me to read it, and I've always planned to read it ever since I started Sanderson. I knew I was going to read this series, but it's just a lot, you know? It's just a lot, and especially as my life has been for the last couple of years, I haven't had like a ton of time, so it's just like, this will take me a month. And then it'll be the only thing I read that month. It'll probably be really good, but I'm just like, wow, that's a lot of time to spend in one world. So yeah, it's a little intimidating to me, to say the least. Then we have The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt, and this is just a book that's won a Pulitzer Prize. It's very well loved and renowned, and it's a literary fiction, and a lot of people were talking about it a couple years ago on BookTube. I was following a lot of people that were really following like book awards and stuff like that, so I was really into it. These two are going to keep falling down, so we're just going to do that. But it's definitely a chunky book. I mean, it's heavy. Like right now, it's like I could knock someone out with this. And the type is very small, and there's very small margins, and I'm just like, wow. And I actually started to read, I think I have a bookmark in here. I think I read like 30 pages of this. When I was in the hospital a couple years ago, when I was sick, I read like 40 pages, and then I just haven't gone back to it because it was like, ooh, I don't need something heavy right now. So I stopped. But this is one that I definitely do want to tackle, but it's just large and in charge, and it makes me nervous. But I've heard it's amazing. I mean, I've heard only good things about Donna Tartt, so I'm excited to get to it. Just a matter of when. This year. Then we have The Book of Strange New Things by Michelle Faber. This has been talked about a ton by Jen Campbell, and that is basically why I picked it up, because I love and adore her. But again, large and just more like deep thinking, and it's a sci-fi. It has a sci-fi premise to it, but it's more like literary fiction based than sci-fi, and I'm always so afraid of getting bogged down in those books. Like I feel as though, this is not true, I know it's not true, but I feel as though I need the fantasy or sci-fi element to like energize me and keep me going through it, and it's like, no, books can be fine without that. But for some reason I'm so used to that I'm like, how do you read anything else? So yeah, this is one that I think is going to be great, but it scares me, you know? It just scares me. I mean, this isn't as big as some of the other ones, it's only like 500 pages, but, you know, only 500 pages. Then we have The Black Prism by Brent Weeks. I've really wanted to get into Brent Weeks. I've heard really good things about some of his other series, and this one in particular has a really cool magic system that has to do with like light and all of that, and color, I think. And this is just like, it's a big, chunky fantasy book, you know, and that's what's intimidating. Again, this one isn't bad. The type isn't horrible. Maybe I should open these up more often to be like, you know what, not horrible. But yeah, just getting into like large fantasy series, I feel as though I need to finish up some of the fantasy series that I'm currently reading, and then I will feel less bad about starting new ones. You know, that's also a thing. I don't think I have a ton that are currently ongoing, but I have some, so I just feel like I need to only have like a few at a time. Because then I start getting lost. I'm like, which series is this from? Like, what? Who are these people? You know, so yeah, I feel like that's one of the reasons why I haven't necessarily dived into this. But again, this is the year, man. This is the year. Doesn't matter how scared you are. This is the year. Then we have The Luminaries by Eleanor Canton. I don't even know if I put this on this year's TBR. There's a few books that I left off of this year's TBR either because I just don't have them prioritized for this year or their sequels and stuff. I don't think this one was left off. I think I left this one on. But this is a Man Booker Award winner. So again, from the time when I got the Goldfinch, this is another book that I wanted from that time period of watching a lot of booktubers who followed all the awards. And this is, I think, taking place during the like New Zealand gold rush in like the 1800s sometimes. So again, not a type of book that I would typically reach for even back when I first got this, and especially these days. So just very large. Very, very large. It's so large. Yeah, it's like 830 pages. So yeah, but I've heard it's really good. Again, award winning, but scary, man, and just like heavy. Like these books are heavy to carry them around. I mean, I will feel so accomplished when I do read them, but it's just like so much, man. Like when I don't have a ton of time, and I've kind of come to terms with the fact that I'm never gonna have a ton of time. Like I'm an adult and I'm never gonna have time. Summers are not coming. I'm not getting breaks. You know, once I start being social on the weekends again, like I'm not gonna have a ton of time to read. Like, so these large books get all the more intimidating for that because they just look like time sucks. But like, I know in a good way, especially if I enjoy them. Maybe if I embraced DNFing, I would feel better about picking up big books because I would know that I wasn't locked into them. This might be something we need to talk about. Then we have The Grace of Kings by Ken Liu, and this is a book that I actually started. I got 140 pages into it during a tome topple and just was not enjoying it. And it's a book that I still want to read because I've heard good things about it, but now I'm like, I tackled the intimidation factor by starting it. And then I stopped it, and now I'm even more intimidated because it wasn't a good time when I was reading it, and I might need to restart it because I'm going to forget a lot of the things. Like, I don't remember a lot about this, so I'm just like, oh, now it's like extra intimidating because I stopped and started, and oh no. So I'm kind of even more intimidated than I originally was about this. But, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of, like, I kind of feel better because I did start at one point, but then it didn't go so well. Yeah. It's a mixed bag with this one. And lastly is the book I can safely say I'm most intimidated by, and that is A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. And this is another book that I got during that phase of like watching a ton of booktubers who did a lot of the like award shows and stuff like that. And this was the Man Booker in 2015. So I got this way back in 2015. And I'm intimidated. It's big. I know it's sad. I know there's a lot of triggers in it. I know it's heavy. So like going into a book knowing all of that makes it really intimidating, and I'm just like, ooh, like you have to be in the right mood for it. And when are you in the right mood to be triggered and sad? I mean, I won't really be triggered by this necessarily, I don't think, but I mean, just being sad and just seeing like really horrible things, like especially in my line of work, like I don't really know when I'll be like ready for that in my downtime. So I desperately want to read this. I just don't know when that's going to happen. I think this is one that I have left off my TBR for like making myself read it this year because I just really feel that this is a book that like I need to read it when I fully want to read it. And I don't know when that's going to be, but I want to give myself that room because I just feel like this is a book that you can't just like walk into. You know, I've been preparing myself for years and I'm still not ready. So those are all the books on my physical TBR that I'm the most intimidated by. Comment down below, let me know some of yours. Share with me some of the things that scare you about books. They're probably all going to be large. I feel like a common thread is that most of us are really intimidated by large books. So that's a thing. Like I said, Tome Topple's coming up in April for all of your big book concerns. But yeah, comment down below and let me know your thoughts. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see all of you guys soon. Bye.